Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Disney Library, coming to you live from vacation in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. A little bit more tan than usual, even though I live in Florida, just miles from Fort Lauderdale Beach, obviously within striking distance of a dozen beaches from South Beach, Miami, up to Palm Beach. But there's something about getting out of your home state and enjoying a little R&R in other places of the world, and that's why we are in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which is actually a place where I grew up, coming as a family when I was a kid, and so that's one of the reasons we're here as well. But enough about that. Here today to talk about what's the biggest movie that's been out in the last couple of weeks. That's right, Toy Story 4, and so it's only fitting that, of course, the focus of today's Disney Library episode is on Toy Story 4. Now, I picked this book up the night that I saw the movie, which was opening night, Thursday, June 20th. It's been about 2 weeks, not quite 2 weeks, but I wanted to go ahead and record this episode after enough time had passed where hopefully anybody who really wanted to see it within the first couple days has already seen it, given it's been about almost 2 weeks there. This is The Art of Toy Story 4. Again, I've talked a lot about the art of books that I've collected over the last couple years. The Art of Coco is one that I have yet to actually review on this particular project, but I've talked about The Art of Moana, and there are a dozen or so others, if not more, that I plan to share over the coming years, including the art and making of Aladdin, which I had every intention of sharing before I talked about Toy Story 4, but given how popular Toy Story 4 was and the impact that the Toy Story universe has had over all of us over the last 25 years or so now, thought we would do a little bit of a Toy Story 4 tribute this evening. So first of all, let's talk about the film itself before we dive into the book. Obviously, it's no secret, I've talked about this many times, that Toy Stories 1 through 3, hands down my favorite among any of the Pixar movies, and probably safe to say they rank among my all-time favorite movies in general, Disney, Pixar, or otherwise. And Toy Story 3 in particular, I think, left such a mark on me because that was the first one that I took my children to see. So my oldest son was born in 2009. Toy Story 3 came out in 2010. So it was at a time in my life where I was also sort of going through, that transitional phase. Obviously, I graduated from college many years prior to that movie, so it wasn't quite the same as Andy at the end giving away his toys as he was going off to college, but at the same time, given where I was in my life, that ending scene probably could not have been any more perfect. And I thought it was the perfect way to wrap up the entire franchise. What more perfect of a way could it be to wrap up the entire thing than to have Andy and the toys find their way to a new owner who would love them and play with them for as long as Andy enjoyed them, and give Andy a new life, or give Woody a new life with new characters and live on in Bonnie's world for a long time to come. The end, right? No, fast forward a few years, Disney announced Toy Story 4 would be coming out. Since that time, they obviously released Toy Story Land in Walt Disney World, and so it's been Toy Story Mania, no pun intended, from the Disney ride, Toy Story Mania ever since. So obviously Toy Story Land in Disney World has been a huge success. Toy Story 4 was a huge success. But here's the thing I'll say about the film before we open the book, which is the main reason I wanted to have you guys join me this evening. I love the movie. I love the characters. I love the storyline. It was, the beautiful animation and the compelling new characters and the wittiness and the whimsical, witty, wistful, all those things, nostalgia. I loved it as much as I've loved any of the previous three. That said, I don't know if I walked away at the very end of the movie. Again, I won't spoil the ending for those of you who haven't seen it, even though it's been out for 2 weeks. What are you waiting for? I won't say that I left that movie with as much closure or feeling as satisfied as I did at the end of 3. Like I said, Andy giving his toys to Bonnie before going off to college, I could have lived forever with that ending of the trilogy. This one, I enjoyed the story as much as I did any of the previous 3, like I've said. However, at the end, I felt like, not quite so sure this one is over. And perhaps that's the point. I immediately took to Facebook as soon as I got home from the movie that evening, again on Thursday, June 20th, and I said, okay, at this point, I don't see any other ending than for Woody and the gang to somehow make their way back to Andy when he has kids of his own, and that should be the final end, whether that happens in Toy Story 5 or potentially a Toy Story 6. At this point, given the way Toy Story 4 ended, I really don't see any other feasible ending to the entire series than Woody ending up with Andy when he has children of his own. I just don't think Toy Story 4 ended the way that I would expect a series of this nature to wrap up. It didn't give me nearly the closure that I was hoping for it to have given me. And again, perhaps that is intentional because maybe they're not quite done yet. So we will see. My guess is if anything like that happens, given the first one was 1995, the second one was 1999, then you went to 2010 all the way to 2019. So there's, at most, or at the minimum, a 5-year or 4 or 5 year break in between, and up to 10 years in some cases. So we're looking 6, 7, 8 years out. But I do think ultimately we will see a Toy Story 5, if not Toy Story 6, and hopefully it wraps up the way that I think it should wrap up. Maybe that's too idealistic of an ending, but we are talking Disney after all, and so maybe that's the happily ever after Woody deserves. All right, real quickly on the book. I've already spoken for 7 minutes about the movie itself. Again, this is very similar to the other Art of books that I've talked about. A couple highlights here. Obviously, first of all, I love this picture right from the very beginning, which is a picture of Woody and Bo Peep. Just sort of sitting there. I thought it was a beautiful picture as you open up the book here. But of course, it gives you the concept art and the backstory and the original drawings of all the characters, including everybody's favorite. That's right, Forky. So that's what Forky looks like in the movie. But as you can see throughout, the opening section of this book, there are other iterations that take place, and here are some fun spoofs on the Forky character, and he's in other costumes there. He's got some goggles on, like he's getting ready to go scuba diving there. And then, of course, this to me, I thought one of the better scenes in the movie itself was the scene where Woody and Forky are walking along the side of the road heading back to the trailer park to catch up with Bonnie and the others, and there's a great drawing there. Again, I thought that was one of the great scenes of the movie, and certainly a great, beautiful picture of that in this book. Obviously tells shows the images and sort of some of the background stories of the other characters. Gabby, another. Again, lots of people look to her. Was she the villain of this movie? No. I mean, I think we can say that there are no real villains of the Toy Story movies, at least from a toy perspective. Obviously, you could say that Sid was the villain of Toy Story 1. Al from Al's Toy Barn, obviously the villain of Toy Story 2. But, the toys themselves aren't necessarily villains. They're just misunderstood toys or toys that have been through their own journey. And that's how they ended up the way they ended up. Lotso, for example, is probably the biggest example of that. Lotso, Hug and Bear. Gabby is not necessarily unlike that. Not totally dissimilar to Lotso in terms of her sort of somewhat tragic backstory and how she got to be the way she is. So this book kind of gets into that as well, and some of the history of that character. And everybody, while Forky's stealing the show, I have to say that my favorite is Duke Kaboom. I thought he was a great, fun addition to the ensemble, and of course voiced by Keanu Reeves. It's great to see Keanu Reeves sort of making a comeback, I guess you could say, over the last few months, because he kind of dropped off a little bit, but he's been back, and a great fun character, very well voiced, very well acted. Again, here he is with his original owner from the movie. If you remember that scene where he too was discarded because he didn't live up to the hype of his advertisement was concerned. So, just a fun book. Again, the Art of series, among my favorite of the Disney books to collect. This one is no different. Again, it's got the concept art, some of the sketches, some of the storyboards of some of your favorite scenes from the movie, some of the characters that you didn't get to spend a ton of time in the movie. Vincent, for example, a very weird character. He wasn't in the movie that much, although the scenes he was in were quite impactful. But there's a lot more to Vincent's story as well, and you can see a lot of the work that went into building his character in this book, as well as many of the others from the RV park and the carnival, etc. So again, this is the Art of Toy Story 4. The foreword is by Annie Potts, who is Bo Peep herself. So this is one to add to the collection, especially if you're a Toy Story fan, if you're a fan of the entire series, or just Toy Story 4 in particular. You got to pick this up and add it to your Disney library. It will make a great addition, and I look forward to sharing more thoughts with you of other Disney books in the near future. Hope you're having a fantastic summer. Hope you've had a chance to check out Toy Story 4. If not, hope you go see it real soon, and let me know your thoughts on the ending, and in particular, if you think we deserve, or we should expect, I should say, we don't deserve, but maybe we expect to see at least one, perhaps two more Toy Story films before the franchise is put to bed officially. Let me know your thoughts, and as always, thank you for watching. Take care.